Welcome to the co-op mode. This is round 144, the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. Oh, my goodness. I'm one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra. My co-host, Mark the Canadian Carabin, is in the far reaches of the Atlantic, fighting off creatures, revisiting Aquaman, having a good old time. Mark, please make it back safe, fighting Black Manta and recovering your throne of Atlantis. But in Mark's stead, good man has to be replaced by two, and that's what I've got today. Two awesome hosts that are going to join me on this journey. We've got a returning champion, Mr. Delvin Cox from the Delvin Cox Experience and all things PSVG. Also, play some video games, not PlayStation video game for some reason. Delvin, how you doing, bud?
Doing pretty good, buddy. How you doing, man?
Doing great. I was looking at the list of guests I had. I'm like, wow, it's been 2 years since Delvin's been on. Got to bring him back. So, yeah.
Lots changed in 2 years. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Delvin, you have to go back to find the podcast Delvin was on, but Delvin's great. He also is a voice actor. He played Green Lantern. Green Lantern is my favorite DC hero, so thank you for supporting a character that's been given short shrift in the live action lens.
Oh, my pleasure. It was an honor to play the character. I can say that I'm playing the character again in this whole DC extended audio drama universe, so it's gonna be pretty cool. Titans Unite.
That's amazing. That is amazing. I love it. I am not a good voice actor, so I'm glad people that can do it well. So thank you, Delvin, for being on, man. This is going to be awesome. Hopefully your power ring will save us and keep this episode going strong. And I am joined by JampackSam, a star of YouTube and co-host of Project X Talk. I got to know Sam from the XCP Discord group and all of his content. He's phenomenal and got a great radio voice. Sam, welcome to the show.
What's up? I'm very excited to be here. I don't know if I can follow up on the voice actor fame that we've got going on here with some Green Lantern action, but I'll do my best. But
of course you can.
Yeah,
the greatest name in the world.
We'll try. I mean, Samuel Adams, JampackSam, whichever one you want to use, it's fine either way. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to chat with you guys, and I know Todd, we run into each other a lot on threads. I see you popping up on my feed all the time, and so it's just great to be able to connect with people like you gentlemen and just have fun talking about games in a time that's so filled with vitriol a lot of the time online. Just to be able to have a good time with it's what I'm all about.
Well, this show will be not covering any news, by the way, unless you want to bring something up, but that's perfectly fine. This is going to be a little bit more fun. We're going to go over a lot of different things that just to get to know each other a little bit better. So Delvin's been on the show before. So this question is really for Sam before we get into the meat of the show. Sam, I've got 3 questions so people can get to know you and your gaming tastes a little bit better. What was the first game you owned? Not you bought, but you owned.
The first
like
game,
a gift.
Yeah, the first game that I ever owned, we had to go on a family trip up to Ohio, and my parents said it's going to be like a 3-hour flight. We're going to buy him a Game Boy Color and a copy of Toy Story 2. And so that's where everything started with me back in the old Toy Story 2 days.
Wow, I don't even know if that's a good game or not, was it?
The PlayStation 1 version was better. The Game Boy version, for me being however old I was at the time, 5 or 6, it was great for me back then. But that kicked off a steady stream of Toy Story to Tetris to whatever else was on the Game Boy Color that I could get my hands on, and then PlayStation and PS2, and the rest is history. And now I'm here.
Perfect. Good answer. Next question, number 2. First game you bought with your own money.
Ooh, first game I bought with my own money. It had to have been, I'm going to say, I believe it was Killzone 2. And this is around the time that I was starting to get allowance money. Because I'm 27 right now. So whenever Killzone 2 came out, it was probably 15 years ago, something like that, maybe a little more or less. But I was really into the first person shooter scene, and I just played Call of Duty 3 and 4, and I wanted to go back and explore more of the PlayStation 3 library. And I got Killzone 2 from Play and Trade for $8 or something. And it was it was a great time, because before that you were birthdays and Christmas. That's when I got my games. And so now I have this expendable income of a giant pile of $15 that I can go do with whatever I want. So Killzone 2 was the move.
Todd.
Wow.
Did you hear that?
Delvin? Yeah, I know.
27. We haven't
I know,
seen
Delvin. Don't make
27
me feel old.
since 1927.
Yeah, I was gonna say when we're reborn. And I don't. And I want to respect both of us. I don't want to give away who's older, but
We're old.
yeah, I know. Yeah,
I mean, I'm
ask me.
guessing like Todd, 35.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Delvin,
absolutely.
28.
I had my
29.
son when he was 17. It's perfect. Delvin, yeah, we don't need to go into that. We respect each other. We're wise in the way of
Yeah.
gaming. Yeah.
Like Yoda.
Our children have aged us. That's the problem. If we didn't have children, we look like 20 years younger. Yeah.
Exactly. That is true.
Yeah. Last question. Favorite character or franchise? I'll let you off easy.
Oh, well, I mean, obviously, based on the shelving that's not really visible from this angle in particular, I'm a big Halo guy. Master Chief is my favorite character of all time. Fanboy or not, whatever you say, I'm optimistic indefinitely about the future of Halo. I love everything about it, and that's always going to be kind of my bread and butter. So I've been playing it since really the original Xbox, but 360 and then Xbox One kind of fell off, and then Series X, I'm all back in.
I got to ask
Perfect.
a question then.
Oh, here we go. Because I was going to let's have a question about Halo then.
Okay. The question.
Okay, Delvin, go ahead.
Halo. What did you think of the TV series?
The TV
It's been
series,
canceled. So what'd you think? Yeah.
It has been canceled. For me, I always say the TV series was a pretty good sci-fi show, but a really bad Halo show. Like that's kind of the way that it was. Like there was stuff to love, but it definitely was not the Bungie Halo that's like the meat and potatoes of what makes Halo the experience that it is for people.
I agree. I wasn't feeling like seeing Master Chief's face. There's something about seeing him and knowing who Master Chief is. Like, no, I don't want to see him. Make him this mythical creature that we just see. Like he's a god. And Halo, I don't want to know. I don't want to know his personality. Like, no.
Yeah. You saw more than his face in season 1. So I mean,
Hey.
I saw way too much. I saw way too much of Master Chief that I ever needed to see. I'm good.
So Master's Chief.
Oh yeah, Master Cheeks. You know what? We always need to know. Does he get his groove on? Apparently he does. And yeah. It was basically the Halo for your mom. Or my co-host Charlie, who doesn't watch like video games, like I liked it. I'm like, of course you did, because it's nothing like Halo. So, but a follow up to that, and this is for both of you, considering where we are with Halo, it's been 3 years since Halo Infinite. The multiplayer's in a good spot. We have no clue when we're getting more campaign or some type of story-based content. And we don't really know the roadmap at this point. Are you a little disappointed that we're getting lesser entries of Halo when considering like on the 360, we got 4 games? We got Halo 3, ODST, Reach, and what was it? Halo
4.
Halo 4. When did the RTS game come out?
That was also, I didn't know if we were just counting like mainline entries.
Oh,
but
okay.
you had Halo Wars, and then
that time,
Halo Wars 2 was an Xbox One game, so I guess technically 5, and you could even count like Spartan Strike, I think was included.
Okay,
in that generation. There are other things mixed in there too. Yeah.
And then we had 5 on the Xbox One, and then Halo Infinite on Series X. Is it time to split off a multiplayer and campaign and just say we'll let one team make multiplayer, advance that, and then just make a campaign or a PvE type game separately, so you can get more frequent entries in the campaign or something? I'm just trying to figure out where, because I would love more Halo. I just don't know how we can get it these days.
Yeah, it's such a difficult question because right now, like, I'm not complaining about the spot that Halo Infinite is in a large way, because they've done a lot to make it into the game that it is right now. Like the community has really gathered around it and made a ton of Forge stuff. 343 has done a good job of bringing that in. They haven't done as much of their own original, even multiplayer content that I think anybody would have liked. Like you really would have want that kind of like, you put out the bones of like what you want it to be versus somebody making a fan-made Mountain Dew map and doing a collab for Halo 3. Like I love both of these things, but it's not really feeling like a fully fleshed out kind of like a long-term roadmap that we would get from something like Call of Duty or Battlefield. But right now you see Xbox like acquiring so many studios, and you can't help but think about the fact that they have so many people that are good at making first person shooters, and you have the experience and the knowledge of the lore within 343, and so you can marry those two things together and just make so many cool things. I mean, even just looking at the novelizations, there's so many stories that you can still tell within Halo, and we're still just falling back on Chief Cortana doing whatever they're doing. Like you can tell so many more things, like a Halo Reach style story that doesn't have to rely on these big tropes. So I wish they would do more, but I don't think we're seeing Halo until beginning of next generation. I think that's probably what kicks off the next console cycle, because they've just got so much going on right now that you wouldn't want it to get kind of drowned out. That's just my 2 cents.
Delvin, what do you want from Halo next?
I would love, honestly speaking, a remake.
Could
Like
be getting
straight
it.
up-
Oh, of
like just straight up
Comet
remake.
Evolved?
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty
Hmm.
cool. Just go all out on the remake. Do the Resident Evil thing. Remake it in your own kind of vision and kind of like modernize it and kind of add cool things to it to just make it feel different than what we've been getting. I know when Infinite came out, it was kind of mixed. I enjoyed what I played of Infinite a lot. I thought there was a lot of cool things there. I know people were kind of poo-pooing the multiplayer stuff because it was still young and stuff like that. But I feel like if they were to go back and like, hey, let's remake what people loved about Halo and get that feeling back, restore the feeling of what we felt day one of Halo again, man. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what they tried to do it, at least with the multiplayer. It's like a reborn version of Halo. But I agree, people would love the rumors are that they're kind of leaning into Unreal Engine 5, getting away from the proprietary engine stuff, like full ground up Unreal Engine 5, 240 FPS, like wild remake of Combat Evolved with all of that same kind of storytelling, but like you said, with a Resident Evil style approach of same story, same characters, but it's just like a modern, like Resident Evil 2. We'll get into the topics, but in terms of remakes, that's like king for me. They killed it with that. And so I would love to see that done to Halo, where Master Chief Collection's good, but it's kind of like going to a museum versus watching like a recreation in a film. Like it's the same story, but it's a totally different kind of experience.
Yeah. It reminds me of the Dead Space remake we just got. They did a phenomenal job of remaking that game, but they added layers. They did different things. And you can definitely do that now. And it would be amazing. I'm a firm believer that I feel like it would be great for Xbox to use some of the teams and leverage some of the cool things they did on the 360, which was side stories, ODST, Reach, all these different things where they told different stories with the different lens, and they all brought something different to the table. It's hard to believe that Bungie did all that. That's amazing. But I think if they leveraged other teams to say, this is our multiplayer team, this is going to be our PvE team, and these are going to be the people that tell different stories and leverage different perspectives. Maybe even hey, the Coalition after E-Day, maybe they want to make a third person Halo. I don't know. I want more Halo. It's just a shame. And I love the campaign. And when I was hearing that they cut a lot of it out because just to get the game out, that hurt me because I love playing, and especially the couch co-op being removed hurt my heart too after they promised it, because I loved playing Halo with my buddy and sitting right next to me. We're doing stuff. And the fact that they didn't go back there, I felt like, wow, they just really pulled a lot out of that game to bring it in, and it struggled. So I'm optimistic for Halo because God of War was in a bad place. I think when it died off with God of War Ascendant, was kind of like treading water, and they came back. I think every franchise can really find its place, especially Resident Evil 6, where that was at and where they came back. So I think there's a great future for Halo. I just hope we aren't waiting like 6 more years for the next one.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
It's very tough. Well, one thing we don't have to wait for much longer is me to thank our Patreons, our Secret Friends Squad. Oh my goodness, these are the people that make things happen for us. They support us. Some of them even come on the show and do special segments with us. So it's really allowed us to do some cool new content that we really enjoy. Those are our Friends with Benefits, John Sedorf, Phoenix Sisters Cosplay, or Entertainment, sorry. Brendan Myers, Matthew Keel, and Corey in HD. Our BFFs, Sean, Stella, and Henry Nias. If you're not a patron and you don't have money to spare, join for a free trial. Check out our stuff, get it for free. Do that. Just try it out, see what you think. And if you can't, no problem. Just tell people about the podcast. Let them know you enjoy it. Give us some reviews. That's good enough. That's as good as gold anyways. We love it hearing people enjoy our stuff. But if you're interested in a free trial, it's really cool. All our stuff is out there. You get free access, early access, ad free. It's a really good deal. But the cool new part is we are adding some new content very shortly. We're going to have a monthly SFU Patreon podcast. Really, it's going to be open, just a chat. It's primarily going to be myself, Charlie, and Mark, just having a good time. We want people to join us along in the discussion about the world of geek. And then Mark added a new show called Walk Nerdy with Me. Mark has wanted to get back into fitness, and he said, well, how can I do that and still contribute to our Patreon? So he's going to just basically walk and talk about whatever it is in the world of nerd. He loves Star Wars. He loves Nintendo. He loves Fortnite. He loves all things nerd, Harry Potter. So we'll see what he does. He did say it's very hard to walk and talk at the same time. So we'll see how this goes.
It is very, very much so.
100%.
It is, especially when you're having a chain of thought and you're talking by yourself and you get in your own head. So very excited for this. I've been excited for Mark to do something fresh and exciting. So this is his contribution. I'm very excited for it. So thank you all for your patronage, and check us out. We're only getting better from your support. So with that, gentlemen, we get into my favorite segment of the show, segment that I keep making people do, and I torture them because half the time I put this out there and people want clarification. So with Buy Rent Return this week, we're discussing remasters. This one's a little easier. You buy the one you love. You rent the one that you just want to experience and you have a good time with. You return the one that's just not for you. You're glad it exists, but it wasn't for you. So with that, our remasters we're going over this week are Metroid Prime Remastered, the Halo Master Chief Collection, and Mass Effect Legendary Collection Edition. So now, if there's any discussion about a remaster or remake, remaster is basically quality of life improvements, up-resed, maybe some things that made the game better, even accessibility. A remake is basically reimagined from the ground up, like we talked about, Resident Evil 2. There's some other ones. Dead Space, in a way, is a remake because not only did they make it look prettier, they gave it a new engine, and they also added new content. So, with that, we'll start with the newbie. Sam, with these remasters, what will you buy, what will you rent, and what will you return?
Do I have Game Pass? The initial question, because then I don't have to worry about at least. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you got a Blockbuster subscription, and then you can cost you this much per month. Yeah, or week.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, obviously, based on our first conversation, I'm buying Halo. Like, that's going to be the thing, because it's what? I mean, you've got 5 games in one, I think, if we're doing...
Is it Reach? Odyssey? It's going to be not Reach, because Chief is in Reach, right?
Yeah, so it's not... Reach is in there. Yeah, I believe
so.
Okay. So it's Combat Evolved, 2, 3, Reach, ODST, and 4, I think is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like 6 games in one. You got all the multiplayer suite. I'm definitely buying Master Chief Collection, and then I'm going to be renting Metroid Prime Remastered. It's actually one that I picked up at Southeast Game Exchange a couple of weeks ago. I got the physical copy on the Switch, and so going back, man, Retro Studio they kill it with how does this game look this good? You know what I mean? Like, it just runs so well. I'm playing on a Switch Lite, and I mean, it looks
great art.
Good. It's great. It's just killer. So I love it, but it doesn't have that same replay value for me as something like a Halo, where I can keep playing.
There's not a lot of secrets. Yeah, I mean, you get the map, and that's how you discovered all the secrets. But there's not you can't go off track and discover things. It's a set story.
Yeah, which I love, So sometimes I think that we're getting kind of too far away from that. Give me a linear campaign that I can just kind of plow through, have a good time with. So Metroid Prime is the one that I'm going to be renting. And then I'm just not a Mass Effect guy. I've tried 3 or 4 times to get into it, and I just can't. I can't get into it. I like the way you described it. I'm glad that it exists, but it's not for me. I love the fact that people love Mass Effect, and I want to give it another shot one day, and maybe I will. But I'm just going to return Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and I'm not going to worry about that for me.
This is terrible.
I know. I'm sorry. I'll leave now. You can kick me off. I'm fine. I get it. It's fine.
Delvin, how do you really feel?
They named this
Okay.
man after beer. How dare you?
I'm sorry.
Yes. Are you a patriot, sir? Are you a patriot?
I'm sorry. As soon as I saw these names pop up, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna go one way or the other."
I didn't pick bad ones. I didn't pick easy ones. I could have picked horrible ones, like what was it? Remastered. The what was the one game?
Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered Edition.
Remastered. Yeah, I mean that wasn't bad though. I mean it was, but still, some of those names are just ridiculous.
Different tier. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, Delvin, defend your place.
I think Todd did this brilliantly because he picked. I don't know if he did this on purpose, but he picked my favorite franchise and Sam's favorite franchise.
Oh.
Because my favorite franchise is Mass Effect.
All right, now we're talking.
So I have to buy Mass Effect, of course, because it's my favorite franchise.
Have you played the Legendary Edition?
I played 2.
Okay, just 2?
Just
okay.
2. Because I'm too busy to go back and play all that right now.
Okay.
There's other games to play. It's like
Are you a true fan then, Delvin?
Oh, I beat Mass Effect 2 6 times.
Wow! Just so you could have different teams that made it through, or what?
Over and over again.
Okay, got it.
I want to say I beat it 2 times on Xbox.
Okay.
And 3 on PS3.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that series that much. But yeah, I have to buy Mass Effect. I buy Mass Effect 2. That's going to be in my collection automatically. And this is where it gets hard because I love both of these games. I love the Metroid Prime remastered. It looks more like a remake than a remastered. That is so impressive. And I love Halo. You know, I love the first trilogy of Halo games. I love Reach, ODST. I kind of really love those. So just because it's more games, I'll rent Halo.
Yeah.
Because I can play Halo for a little bit longer, enjoy my time with it. You know, they did a pretty decent job with it. I remember when the collection first came out, people were poo-pooing on that a little bit. But now, whatever they were poo-pooing about, it's kind of fixed. So it's like, you know, I can really get into that. And I'll sell, I hate saying this, because I really like this game, the Metroid Prime.
No hate. I mean, it's you know, it's like when you have 3 children, you really love one, you kind of like the other, and the other one you're like, are you really my child? No, I have one child, so I have to love the one. I don't have a choice. I have to love the one, and he's going to college, so I'll be without him for a while. So I'll start missing him. So it's okay.
If you're renting the Master Chief Collection, though, that's a whole lot to squeeze into a 1-week Blockbuster rental because that's a tight turnaround if you're trying to get your money's worth out of that the whole week.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I'll just play one of the games.
They won't know. You cancel your account, and they're like, "Oh, I'm out of town."
Yeah, well, you could time it. You could time it the week before Blockbuster closed down, and then you just have the game. Like it's really an added benefit there. You just keep.
I truly wonder how many people got free movies and games when Blockbuster. Because what are they going to do? They're closing. I mean,
what an amazing time when Blockbuster closed down. Yes, I missed.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
There were so many games for so cheap.
100%.
I felt guilty. They're like, "Hey, this game's like $2." I'm like, "Really? It's
right.
$2?
That's right.
It just came out." Like, yeah, it's $2. Like, all right.
Exactly. Well, then you get the older games they've had for like 12 years, Delvin, and then they're like trash. They're like scratched, and the case is destroyed. Yeah, it's a mixed bag.
I still have like a bunch of Blockbuster cases from games and stuff.
Or the game where it has the Blockbuster label right on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's good.
Blockbuster.
What was that?
People used to ask, "Did you rob Blockbuster?" Like, no, I bought these things legally. They just went out of business.
Did they just throw away the cases? Did they just throw away the original cases? I assume they did.
Yeah.
Oh, what a waste.
Yeah, I mean, I know that like I watch a lot of game collector stuff, and so they've got a couple of people like Chase After the Right Price on YouTube. He just bought out where a Blockbuster would unpack the Super NES boxes and have the manuals, and they were all cataloged in a cardboard box for like 30 years. So he's got, you know, old school stuff that's just been sitting in some kind of storage
It's
unit where they would take
crazy.
it out, put it in the trashy little Blockbuster box, and then the real deal was sitting back there the whole time. So seeing that kind of stuff, I would go back and I'd be like, well, how much for every piece of signage you've got in here? Like, I love the idea of like that mid 2000s Blockbuster. I love that energy. It's so good.
Oh
That'd
yeah.
be
Oh yeah. There's an actual series on Netflix, I believe, about a town that is running a video. So I think it's like the last. It's in Alaska. It's the last Blockbuster store.
So
It's like
cool.
it's a comedy show. I forgot what it's called, but yeah, good times. Love it.
I almost
Uh,
interesting story for you guys.
oh,
I was one of the, I guess, fortunate people to be around a GameStop closing down.
oh,
I guess they were changing locations and stuff like that, and I got so much stuff for really cheap. And they were selling like the signage and things like that. One of the things they were selling, I almost was tempted to buy. You know the little stands that they have the TV in. That,
oh yeah, the kiosk.
Yeah,
the
kiosks.
kiosk. They
Oh,
were
I would
selling the
love
kiosk.
one of those.
I was really tempted to buy the kiosk. But like,
How
I
much
don't
were
have
they
enough
selling
space
it for?
like $100.
That is
What?
crazy. I
You
look on
asked?
Facebook Marketplace for these. Yeah, I
Oh.
would be buying that because they're like $1,200, $1,500 depending on
Yeah,
which
it
one
was
you're
like
getting. That's
$100.
crazy.
Wow, it's like the GameCube ones that I've seen that like the old Nintendo ones are really rare and whew, yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
I miss
that's
those
like
times.
a grail item. That's what I would
think-
love in a garage, like an Xbox 360 kiosk with like
Yeah.
decked out with the whole like give me the game fuel side panels and stuff.
Oh,
Anything
yeah?
you got, I'm locking it in. I'm ready.
We're
If I remember correct, it was the one that had the Switch in it.
That's even,
oh,
yeah, I've
okay.
seen those.
Well, that's heck, $100 the Switch. The Switch was with it, right?
No, the Switch didn't come with it. It was just the kiosk itself. I wish
Oh,
the
so it's
Switch-
just
if the Switch was with it, I would have kind of bought it immediately.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like we're in the final days of like I don't think those are going to even exist anymore right now. It's pretty much Target has those Switch kiosks where it's just a Switch attached. But yeah, I don't think we're going to have like Xbox, Series Z with a TV screen ever again. I think those
No.
days unfortunately are behind us. That's so shit.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
It's
It
crazy.
did come with the TV though. I will say. that.
Okay, well, there you go.
It
It's
was
probably got
TV.
burn-in and, looks bad. A burned-in image of, like, whatever. Probably a Kirby game. Well, here we go. We got some responses from friends on our Discord and on threads and Twitter. We've got the Nias family, who are our Patreons. We are buying Halo because Henry and I enjoy it. Split-screen co-op. Once again, Halo not doing split screen anymore, so that's a perfect way to do it. Rent Metroid Prime, one of the best Metroid games. Return Mass Effect, never got into the gameplay style. Sean hates Mass Effect. He says, Todd, why are you even into this game series? I don't even know what to say. I shake my head. Sean's a good guy, though. Edward
Debatable.
Vardell, Eddie, buy
Eddie V.
Metroid Prime. Yeah, Ed, if it's not a Nintendo game, I don't know what we're talking about. Buy Metroid Prime, rent Mass Effect, and return Halo. Wow, he went the opposite of both of you. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. And then the Winter Gamer, Brendan Myers, also a Patreon. Buy Prime. Definitely needed that dual stick control for a first-person Metroidvania. Good catch on that. Rent Master Chief, play as Chief through, though, that story once and done. Okay, so really, yeah, don't need to return to it if you don't do the multiplayer. And then return Mass Effect because I just hasn't hit the last few times trying to play it. Prefer Remaster to bring the games to the current platforms, but will definitely take a remake if they want to make the game as if they made it today. So very good
Brendan, you're
point.
dead to me. Just thought you should know that.
Oh, no. His daughter will have no father, Delvin. That's
Well,
so
he's just
mean.
dead to me. He's still alive. To
Oh,
her.
okay. Oh, okay. I'll
He
take
can
that.
go
Yeah.
raise his family and stuff. That's okay.
Taking away his gamer card, apparently. Okay, well, we'll see. Myself, I'm going to buy the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I love Mass Effect so much. I bought an Xbox 360 for Mass Effect because I tried playing Mass Effect 1 on PC. I had a bug or something like that. My buddy at work said, you got to play Mass Effect. I'm like, okay, I'll get a 360. I used my fantasy football winnings of that year to get an Xbox Arcade 360 Arcade Edition, the worst one. That's what I did.
By far.
Loved that game. Mass Effect 2, I absolutely loved it as well. Screwed up the final mission. I had probably one of the worst playthroughs of the whole Mass Effect series because I killed off people that should have made it. No, I mean, I really need to play through it again to see if I can do it better. But yeah, my squad was decimated by the time I got to 3. But I also loved the multiplayer in Mass Effect, even though it wasn't supposed to be good. I enjoyed it so much, so good, and I even enjoyed planet scanning. Who can say that?
That's a good point.
Then I'm renting the Halo Master Chief Collection. I love playing Halo campaigns. I do not play the PvP at all, really, but I love the campaigns. They are fantastic, and I love the feature that these collections have. Although I don't know if they all have it, but I know at least the Master Chief Combat Evolved remaster has where you can change it from the original graphics to current graphics.
Correct.
I don't know if that's the only one that did. Did 2 do that as well, or was it just 1?
I think that 2 did it with because 2 is the anniversary edition. They've
Yeah,
got that's the closest they've got to actually a remake, so you can flip back and forth between those. But I think it's just Combat Evolved in 2.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of a shame that 5 is kind of left out to rot, to be honest. Even though Chief is in that game, the other games he's not in, which is kind of scary with ODST and Reach. Kind of weird. And then Metroid Prime Remastered. I have a grudge with this game. I almost beat it on the GameCube. Never did. There was the one boss that you had to use the specific burst or the power ability for, and he kept on changing, and it was rolling across. I don't know what boss it was. It was towards the end. Never beat it, and so I have a grudge against the game. I do own the remaster, but I'm like, I still don't like you very much. I mean, I like the game, but I mean, I've still got a grudge against not being able to beat it for some reason. But it's beautiful. I played a couple of levels. I just don't know if it's something where I've already played most of it to go back to it. It's just, just I don't know if there's enough variety for me. But you know what?
Understandable.
Yeah, exactly. Life's too short. I got too many games to play. But there you go. Next week we'll see what our topic will be, but we'll make sure we keep it interesting. So with that, got to talk about some games we've been playing. We've been talking about the past, but now we're going to talk about what is actually making you excited about the world of games. So, Sam, take it away.
Yeah, I have been spending a whole lot of time with Dead Island 2. This past, I guess, couple of months, really. I say since the beginning of 2024, because it's something I've been wanting to do for a while. But I kind of shaped my gaming life around Game Pass, just because that's kind of how, like, as an Xbox player, that's how I've experienced games this generation. And I think I've developed a tendency myself to just jump from like, oh, look, this is here now. This next week, oh, look at that, Call of Duty's coming. Whatever the next thing is going to be. I always jump into it, and so I'm kind of forcefully putting on the brakes and saying I want to play this specific list of games, and I actually have developed a kind of like backlog list of 10 things that I'm pulling from, and Dead Island 2 was next up on it. So I'm digging into that. I'm probably like, I want to say maybe 4 hours from the end, 2-3 maybe, if I'm rushing it, but I'm just taking my time, killing some zombies, finding the fun in this one, because I originally did not like it when I first started playing. But it really grew on me. Yeah.
It's on Game Pass now, right? I looked at my dashboard and I saw it there. I'm like, was it a demo? And I didn't, but it's a full release. I've been really interested in this because it's a series I know nothing about. I think I remember the first Dead Island where they had that crazy video, basically trailer for it. And it was very cinematic and very like
the reverse falling out of the building. That one. Yeah.
And it seems like now the game is a little bit more like, it's goofy, it's weird, over the top violence. It's all melee, right? There's no gunplay.
There is gunplay, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Delvin, have you played it? You kind of jumped at it.
Oh, yes, I have. Yes, I have. Okay. I played it. The first one, to be fair, is very goofy as well.
Yeah, I never played. This is my first real Dead Island 2 experience. I played the original Dead Island like at a friend's house in, high school or college or whatever, where we were just messing around killing zombies, but I never like got into it until now.
The first one is known for a song, Todd, that's called "HooDoo You Voodoo Bitch."
What?
That is the song that it is known for. Like, Google this, people. If you have never ever played Dead Island, Google the intro of Dead Island, and there's this rapper, because he's one of the characters you play as, and he has a rap song that's a hit, and they continue it in the sequel, and the song is called "HooDoo You Voodoo Bitch."
Who do you voodoo? bitch. Okay.
It's
Is this like a real, like, it's a rapper that was created for the game, and they
Correct.
actually created a rap song for the rapper? I love that. I love it.
Right.
There's some rap songs I really enjoy that are just totally made up, like the Deadpool video game. The rap song in that is phenomenal. I don't know who did it. So I've got to check this out now. So Sam, look for that while you're playing. If you don't remember it, okay.
I will. Yeah. I mean,
Or is that one or two? Was that one or two?
One, but it's referenced in two a lot.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I love that.
Rapper and everything.
Yeah, I definitely want to get in and like look at those details. That's one thing that I've seen is like whenever they're on like they have a lot of little Easter eggs, and I'm sure there's more stuff that I haven't even noticed. But like the awards show in the game is called the Romeros, and it's like a zombie thing. You know, like it's like throwbacks like that I love. But like I said before, this game did not originally kind of appeal to me because the gunplay that you don't really get into it until probably 4 or 5 hours in, maybe at least from my experience. And it's very, very melee focused, and it feels super basic. But then you start to, as you just hack and slash your way through zombies, you're like, it's not really how you're swinging. It's more so what you're hitting. So like you can knock off legs, you can knock off arms, you can decapitate them. And so the more you play, the more you're like, okay, the actual gameplay is you being more intentional about how you're killing zombies and not just smashing right trigger, which is what I was doing for like the first hour.
It kind of reminded me of like Dead Island or Dying Light is a series that I've tried but never really got into it. I like the opening credits and then it's like open world and go on a billion mission. I'm like, oh, I've kind of died off. Is that where this is? Is it like just random missions to do certain things, or is it kind of golden path?
Definitely a golden path.
Okay.
There are side missions you can go off and do, like you're in LA, as they call it, and so you can go you can go help like a vlogger that's doing a zombie video that's killing zombies on top of a house, and she needs you to like do cool shots and stuff. So you just have to kill zombies and a lot of stuff like that where you're helping survivors. But the golden path is really like, you know, there's a very clear path, and there's like a level system that's really comfortable where you kind of have to grind, but it's more so just making sure you're kind of keeping pace with leveling stuff up. So it is linear, and I like that it's pushing me in a specific direction, so I'll actually get to roll credits, but there's plenty to do if you do just kind of like wandering around, but it's not quite as big as Dying Light in terms of the open world.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Good to hear that. I have it on my dashboard. I've been waiting to try the game out because I've heard a lot of very positive. It's goofy, it's fun, but it's kind of addictive, so I will definitely check that out.
Yeah, definitely. And the other game that I've been playing, and I'll let you do most of the talking because I would imagine you've probably played more of it than I have, but I have been dabbling in my Neon White era a little bit. And I've been joking with Kevin, my co-host on Project X Talk. I don't know if I'm the co-host. I don't know how he invited me on his show originally, so I guess I don't know how that works. But Neon White's a game that I've been looking forward to on Xbox for, I think, 3 years now. We were waiting.
Yeah, it was on Switch originally, right?
Yeah, it was on Switch and then PlayStation and PC and all of that. And, or I think it was a simultaneous release on Switch and PC and then a game to PlayStation. But they announced it like 3 years ago at an Xbox event. And then we've been kind of like, oh, that's coming, you know, TM eventually. We don't know when. And then all of a sudden it just drops. So I love games like this. It kind of has that like CSGO surfing crossed with a speed running game. And I definitely want to play more of that. But like I said, trying to keep my focus. I've got so many games to play, but I'm trying to check them off the list. So Neon White's going to be the one that I kind of plow through after Dead Island 2.
So Delvin, have you played it?
Neon White, I've never played it.
Okay.
My son's playing. I think he digs it now.
I've played a little bit of it. So Sam, you've probably played a lot more of it than I did. I played I just wanted to get a feel for it because everybody talked about it. It's basically a speed runner, basically getting your ranking, and you get a card that you use to do definitely like parkouring, finding the quickest way to the path. It feels like an anime or a manga in the way they present it, and the characters are called Neons and Neon White and Neon Orange, and you're in the afterlife and you're trying to make your way through, I guess, back to either to heaven or it's definitely a kind of a goofy theme, but they are definitely it's got a lot of atmosphere, and I appreciate it's very white and it's very sparse, but it really kind of reminds me of what's the parkour game from EA?
Mirror's Edge.
Yes, kind of reminds me of that in a lot of ways because that was first person, and I appreciate. I'm not a speedrunner, so I wanted to give it a try, and I could see the addictiveness of it. People really getting into speedruns, but not for me. So it's a game that I'm glad I
Okay.
checked out, but just to get a feel for it, it's like maybe it would catch me, but it definitely didn't grab me. But if you're into speedrunning and just how can you get better and take on people, and I think there's leaderboards in the game too, right?
Oh yeah, there's
Oh
global
yeah,
leaderboards. I don't know if they're just platform based or like there's a shared server across the world. But yeah, there are leaderboards. You can challenge your friends and that kind of thing. I like the friends list challenges
yeah.
myself to be able to see like people that I actually know, and then I can send them rude DMs. You know, like that's always the cherry on top. Love that.
Yeah. And so I'm going to do a check really quick. So, Sam, you're primarily an Xbox gamer. Do you have any other platforms?
I do play on PC a good bit. I also got a Steam Deck a couple of months ago, so I've been dabbling in the handheld PC world a little bit. And this year, it's primarily been a lot more just Xbox stuff. But I'm definitely kind of skewing more towards PC. I'm doing a new build in a couple of months, just based on
Nice.
the current nature of where Xbox seems to be heading. It kind of makes
Yeah.
sense to reinvest. And I edit a lot of videos throughout the week, so I'm like, well, it's get a nice graphics card, edit some videos. It's a win-win all around. So I kind of split my time between those two.
Very, very cool. And Delvin, I think so. I think Sam, anything else before we move on to Delvin?
I think that's about it for me. I'm dabbling around. Hold on, I had it ready. I got the Nintendo World Championships
Oh, okay.
deluxe
That's
set.
cool.
Yeah, so I have not actually played this yet. I got it. I did like a little unboxing thing, but this thing is super cool. It's like
Yeah.
150 challenges, and just we'll talk about it more when we get to the remasters and remakes things
Yeah.
because this is the kind of thing that I love. So I'm dabbling in that. I picked up Metroid Prime, like I said. So I'm just bouncing around in my Nintendo era a little bit, but that's the main thing right now.
Very cool. I've heard there's like a billion NES franchises in there that are not just Nintendo owned. Like there's some weird deep cuts. So I might be
That's
getting
cool.
that too, just for the fun of it, because I did like NES Remix on the Wii U. So
Yeah, and it's only $30
deep cut.
if you just want the
Yeah.
basic one. So it's like, I mean, in the world of $70, $80, $100 releases, $30 to Nintendo, and what's their family membership? Like 3 pennies and an acorn. Like they don't charge you anything to access their online. It's fine.
Great.
Yeah. So Delvin, it's your turn, but I just want to gauge too. What systems do you currently have?
I have everything. PS5, Xbox Series X, Nintendo Switch, and Steam Deck, and a Rogue Ally.
Ooh.
What, both?
Yeah, I have both.
Both?
One, I got Steam Deck for myself, and the Rogue Ally was a gift.
Oh, nice. What do you think? I mean, because you got one that's like Steam, your Steam library, but it obviously doesn't do the like Xbox stuff really easily. You can do stuff. You can put Windows on it. It's crazy. Or the ROG Ally, which is like it's a Windows system, does everything, but it's a little bit more Windowsy. So, do you have a preference?
I prefer using my Steam Deck, even though the
Ah,
Rogue Ally can use more games on it. Essentially, you can play
okay.
more things on the Rogue Ally. But the Steam Deck is very easy to simple pick up and play type of stuff. You just want to use it to play like games that tell you which ones you can play, which ones you can't play, and sometimes the ones you can't play it lets you play anyway. So it's very simple to use a Steam Deck. Very accessible for the common man who doesn't know that much about PC gaming and just getting right into it. Ally's
Yeah.
a little bit more complex.
Yeah.
That's
I've
the big selling point that I got a Steam Deck for, because I was kind of in the same boat of like, I want a handheld, I have a PC library, but what do I want to actually get? Because now we've got options here, and the Steam Deck, like that's why I love my consoles, and that's why like I'm sad about the prospect of like the potential future of them going away and PC gaming becoming like a bigger and bigger part of it, because I just like opening it up and being able to like have a clean UI. It tells me where I need to go, and Steam Deck does a great job of balancing that with the PC experience of, hey, it's playable. Here's what you might have issues with. Turns out the text is just small and you can still play it and it runs at 60 FPS.
Correct.
Like,
Yeah.
I love the notes. I love the way they kind of like guide the player in. So I love Steam Decks. I can't wait to buy day one, the next one that comes out, because that is immediately buying that for me 100%.
I'm on the same boat. I love mines. And
That's awesome.
Speaking of the Steam Deck, that's what I've been playing
Woo.
because I have been really like, because Wolverine and Deadpool's coming out this week. I wanted to play. I felt like in the mood to play like a Wolverine game, so I've been playing that Wolverine game that came out on PS3. Wolverine
Ah.
Unleashed.
Oh, Origins.
Oh yes, X-Men Origins. Wolverine Unleashed.
That's awesome.
Yes. And I've been playing it. I've been having a really good time with it because it's vastly different than the movies. It's like he's like very violent, and I'm really digging it. It's a really good Wolverine game. Like it's probably the best Wolverine game that's come out, and I know that's not saying much, but it's one of the best comic book adaptations of a video game. It's fun, it's violent, it's brutal, it's very easy to pick up and play. And, if you know what you're doing on the Steam Deck, you can just get it working on your system.
That's awesome.
I was gonna say, I'm not gonna ask how you got it to play, but that's the great thing about PCs and Steam is you can find a way to play pretty much anything. I have I bought a 360 specifically to play a lot of licensed games that just don't exist anymore unless Activision can get. I mean, they developed that game with Raven, I believe, and if they could say, "Hey, Marvel, give us the license back, we'll get that game out there and remaster it," but they don't. But that's awesome. I really love that game. The fact that when you're getting destroyed and basically you start seeing Wolverine's like adamantium skeleton,
Correct.
That's amazing.
Pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And I guess we'll get to that conversation with remakes and remasters. But yeah, one of the reasons why I love my Steam Deck is because there are a lot of games that you can't really access anymore except on PC.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to like find things. Like one of the things, one of my favorite series, because I'm a big Transformers fan, is the War for Cybertron, the Fall of Cybertron games. They can't really play them anywhere. They're like they're really not easy and accessible anywhere, but you can play them on your Steam Deck. So I found myself playing those games, and they are fantastic Transformers games. And it just sucks that because of licensing, unless you own I think they had a PS4 version at one point. If you own,
Devastation was amazing.
Yes.
Platinum made that game, and then there was a Turtles game that Platinum made as well. And also, you cannot play that game anymore, which is so frustrating because there's like 1 billion Turtles games right now, and that game would be amazing for people to discover now.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing about it now. It sucks when these companies lose the license and things like that. I feel like if you own a game, it should always be around somewhere. It should always be accessible to people once you had it, but I guess it just doesn't work like that.
Wasn't it like the promise of NFT? Like your digital purchases would be everywhere. They could go everywhere with you, and they're like you could like sell your own games. And the promise of owning your licenses, I guess, just never came about.
Yeah, another one I
It's a
just
shame.
saw. Chronicles of Riddick.
Oh wow!
You're doing some deep licensed cuts here. I love this.
That's amazing. I love it.
Games that you just can't play anymore. Chronicles of Riddick. I love that game.
That's a shame. That's not. Yeah, I mean, because that was remastered. Wasn't there like the one on the original Xbox and then it was remastered again? Yeah, but was it stuck on 360 and PS3?
What they did was the original one came on the Xbox, which was hugely successful. They made a sequel and put it on the 360 that had the original one as well. They remastered the original.
Oh, that's crazy.
And made the sequel on the same disc. And it was I think if I remember, it's Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, and I can't remember the name of the other one. But they were all on 360, so you could play them together. You could play it back to back.
That's crazy.
Escape from Dark Affinity or something like that.
Oh,
very excellent game.
Man, Vin Diesel, make it happen, dude. Use some of that Fast and Furious money.
Yeah, he's the one holding up the process. Come on, Vin Diesel.
Apparently. Well, come on.
He apparently
stop making bad Fast and Furious games.
He apparently owns the Riddick franchise now.
Yeah, and he's trying to get it, another movie made. Yeah,
that's his. Like he can do whatever he wants to with it. Like I think it was when he made the last Riddick movie, he made it with his own money. He asked for the rights. Like, yeah, you can have the rights to it. We don't care. They gave him the rights to the movie.
I love the fact that I Googled this and it says in 2006, Vin Diesel agreed to make a cameo in Universal's film The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift in exchange for the ownership of the rights to the Riddick character.
Yep,
I love that.
He's like, I'm going to be in Tokyo Drift, but I get to own Riddick. And they're like, yeah, duh, come on.
We don't care. They're like, we don't care. Just take it. And the crazy thing about it is, who would have thought that cameo would have brought him back to the Fast and Furious franchise?
Yeah, it's wild.
For 30 more movies.
That's crazy. And that game was developed by Starbreeze Studios, who then went on to make Syndicate, Payday 2, Brothers, and then they did a few other things. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of anything else they did. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. Dead by Daylight, they published Dead by Daylight and did some other things. So it's kind of crazy. Yeah, great series, though. And they did things on Xbox with lighting and things like that was amazing.
Really cool.
Very cool. Okay. Well, Delvin, keep us up to date on all your next latest find, because I love weird, I love the Captain America game on 360. It's so good, amazing, and still not available anywhere, even despite the fact that the MCU is the biggest thing in the world and that game's trapped. But, hey, we need America's ass. We need to play with America's ass.
I agree.
I guess Deadpool's taking over. Oh, well. For myself, I checked out the Concord Beta because I'm a PS Plus subscriber, so I get to play it for free. I will say I'm not an Overwatch guy, but if you are an Overwatch fan, it feels very much like Overwatch. I felt like the time to kill and get back in was very fast. The only problem with that was you pick your next character, and there's so many characters. There's like 11 characters. That's like, you would try to read the text of what they do, and you're like, oh crap, I'm stuck. Oh, I couldn't figure out. But they are unique in a lot of ways. Like there's a plant-based man or a fungus dude who can basically plant themselves in another spot. And then when you die, you basically reform where that you planted your spore, and you come back into the game. I thought that was a cool premise, a different power. I like that. I thought the powers were pretty cool. It's obviously very inspired by Guardians of the Galaxy. I get it. I wish they hadn't gone on that approach, but the rest of the characters are pretty cool. And the actually opening credits sequence is amazing. The one we saw at, I guess, was it the PlayStation Experience or PlayStation State of Play? I think that's what it was. That was very trite, but the opening credits or the opening cutscene for this was far better. I felt it put the characters in a better light. They didn't come off as cliched, like, oh, you got my hot sauce, and that's what I'm all about, my hot sauce. No, I thought this was much better. But it is very much a $40 Overwatch, where they say they're going to give you like frequent cutscenes to make you feel you get to know these characters better. For myself, I'm not really a PvP guy, so for me, I'd rather have a PvE game in this type of mode that we were supposed to get with Overwatch 2. We were supposed to get campaign and PvE, like story-based modes. Never got that, so I worry, and I'm not sure what the two of your thoughts are on a multiplayer only game for $40 with an basically an unknown franchise on two platforms. It's coming to PlayStation and PC. I thought this should have gone to like PS Plus for free, and then anybody that's not it, they pay for it. But as a PS Plus owner, this feels like a free game, and then maybe you buy something else. I don't know. What are your thoughts on a only multiplayer $40 game?
That's tough. I mean, in my opinion, I think that we've kind of seen it with Helldivers. Like it's a similar kind of situation where it's like a narrative based multiplayer game. Like that's kind of like the idea behind it. But the thing about Helldivers is that it was really kind of unique. There are games that are somewhat similar to it, but there wasn't really anything like it in the market that was lighting it on fire right now. When you look at something like Concord, I think that audience, like those people that would normally be playing that, why would they spend $40 when they could have so many other free-to-play games that are doing something that's pretty much the same, like in a similar vein at least? If you've got an hour or two to play after work every night, $40 versus just playing Overwatch because you've got 1,000 hours in it and you can keep going. And you've got Marvel Rivals on the horizon that's free to play with all of these superheroes that you already know and love. Even if Concord has a couple of differences, is that going to be worth somebody putting $40 of their hard-earned money down on the table? I think that's a hard sell, especially right now when people are kind of like economically strapped.
I agree.
What do you think, Delvin?
I agree. I am, for those who don't know, I am not a multiplayer guy, but I am a little torn because I'm the guy who always says support these new games when they come out because, frankly speaking, we always complain about getting the same crap over and over again, the same game, sequel, this, same game, that. But then when the new stuff comes out that tries to push limits and boundaries, we don't ever play it. It sells miserably, so then we don't get any more of them. So I kind of feel like that, but at the same time, Concord is getting into an already crowded market. You know, you got Overwatch, you got Fortnite, and it's gonna be really hard to get people to spend that $40 on something. When, like I said, you got Fortnite free, and you can play as whoever you want to play as. Like it's to the point where whatever character you want, Fortnite has it. So it's really hard to kind of like break into that field when you have a game like Fortnite that's just a juggernaut, and then Overwatch has the mechanics and things like that. And even if you take those two games out of it, there's so many established Call of Duty, so many established franchises out there. So it's really hard to just break into that multiplayer platform category and just do something.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that I'll just add, not to say that this is like indicative of any kind of future success or anything, but did you guys see the player count for the Concord beta? The like peak player count?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, the peak player count for the Concord beta, I'm pulling it up. The peak player count during like max weekend, 2,388 players online in one time. And that was
Yeah.
a peak on, I think it was Friday. No, it was Thursday. So the night that it dropped for the open beta. And then it just declined day over day. And I was reading an update from somebody, I forget who, it might have been Paul Tassi at Forbes. But he was like, normally Sunday is the peak day for an open beta weekend because everybody's hopping online. They've done their chores for the weekend. Now they can get some game time in. The peak on Sunday was 1,117. And it's like, man, you know, for an open beta, for a big, like, you know, quote unquote, big PlayStation game, that is not looking too good. I'm not optimistic.
No. It's a hard ask to get a new IP, pay full price, and you know, especially for Sony specific things. I mean, Helldiver was different. It was a PvE game, 3 buddies. It's basically just go and have fun with your buddies and you have a good time. And people got it. It's Starship Troopers, and you're having a good time. And they play with like the comedic elements, and it's like, how do you die? This game is a little bit. Concord is a little less, you know, playing with something new where there's kind of a gap in it. I do worry that this might go into just kidding, it's free for PS Plus members, and to stoke the numbers and find the fun. And yeah, PC you might have to play, but you know, I think that's how you got to get multiplayer games to work, especially if they're new, to build an audience and then get people excited about it, and your friends are telling you to play. But
Well,
Helldivers
Todd,
2 is, I think,
can you play Concord single player?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, see,
I
I think
mean,
that's the thing about Helldivers. If you can play Helldivers by yourself if you want to,
it's just
and
not.
get a feel for it. It's a little
But
harder.
there's not. Yeah, because there's no like campaign really. It's just going out there, leveling up, but having fun with your buds. The AI characters are just definitely not as much fun to talk to, or actually they don't talk to you. So I mean, you can pretend they're your friends, like me, because I'm not one that plays with other people typically. So but yeah, it's there if you want to play it. I just don't have high hopes. It comes out in September. We'll see if they change their tune, if something changes. But with that, I played something new to Game Pass. I played actually a lot of Game Pass stuff. Just try it out. Game Pass to me is, and I have it. I also have PS5, Switch, PC, and I've also got just got a really cool Logitech G Cloud. I want it. That's kind of a cool thing too, because it plays Netflix games that you can play through Netflix, which is great with full controls. Very cool. But FlintLock is a new game that just came out on Game Pass. I'm not sure if either of you played it, but it is definitely a campaign-focused fantasy style game. It's got a Souls-like experience. It's very minimal Souls-like. Basically, if you die, you have to then go back and collect the things you lost, and you find out where it is. It is a melee-first game with the main character, has some cool traversal, and then along the way, she's like in a military, like she serves the queen and has to go off and on her own to basically take down the big bad. It's a very conventional story. That's why it just didn't do much for me. It's like, okay, yeah, you're kind of the chosen one, and along the way you meet a god who is a fox, who is your companion. And the fox mechanic is kind of cool because that fox is controllable to basically bring down some of the armor or protection of the antagonists. So you kind of have to use it in tandem, because the character, yes, she has a primary weapon is an axe, and she has to use that. And you get different axes, like you get a different one that's got fire abilities. So it's really breaking down your antagonist's armor and then being able to strike, go around them, use the character, the fox character, and do that. I didn't find the fun. I really didn't. The Souls-like thing was more annoying than it was interesting. It felt like I was repeating a lot of stuff as the enemies respawned. Because if it's a campaign type of game with normal storytelling, it's not like a Souls game where there's very minimal storytelling. You have to find the story. This one's very much like a Jedi Fallen Order or something like that. And adding in the Souls-like element, it made it more annoying because I'm like, I want to get to the next story beat. But you can't because you've got to do this again. And you do it again a couple times, especially if you don't have your combat mechanics correct, you're not going to do well. I'm horrible at parrying. And to be successful, you need to be able to parry well. So it gets to be annoying. And you're drinking a lot of health potions and things like that. So it was more frustrating at times. I thought the traversal was fun. I thought the main character was fine. It looked pretty. I actually played it on PC Game Pass, even though I've told that's where there's a lot of bugs and it doesn't perform as well as it does on console. So, but I didn't feel like I had a lot of problems that got in the way, but it did look good. And I have a 4070 Super. Or no, 4070, not Super, because I'm poor. So it played great, though. I really thought it's a competent game, just nothing that stood out. It's getting like 70s. So that tells you it's kind of like one of those AA games. You can find the fun. I think it's lower price, too. I think it's like $40. So perfect game for Game Pass, but it's not like going to be... I mean, if you're looking for something to play and you like a campaign-based game with some mechanics like action-focused combat, you may like the fun. I just know there's better games to spend my time on for myself. So I think it's a move on for me.
That's the difficult part, right? Is that there are so many games that are out there, and it's $50 for the deluxe edition on GameStop. So like even physical, you can pick it up. But man, like I'm just feeling this is 2024's Immortals of Avium, and it's like
exactly
I haven't played it myself, so I don't know if the quality's there because I thought Immortals of Avium was a good game.
I've enjoyed it, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like FlintLock, from what I'm hearing from like Kevin and other people, like they're way lower on it than Immortals. Like there are just some fundamental gameplay mechanics that people don't really enjoy, and so you're even fighting a bigger uphill battle. It's definitely on my list of things I want to play because I love the look of it and I love parrying. I'm a big parry guy, so it might be right up my alley. But yeah, man, you got to bounce if you're not having a good time because there's only so much time in the day.
I agree. I was looking at this game. I was interested in it, but I think you kind of let me know what I expected of it. It's just a average AA game that's probably a little bit fun, but for the most part, you probably won't stick around for it. It reminds me of Lies of P, which something I was really into.
It's not as hard as Lies of P, though. I will say that.
See, that's what got me off of Lies of P. I like the story of Lies of P. I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
But these Souls-like games are just, and they're making so many with interesting stories, but it's like, but you got to play a Souls-like, ugh.
Yeah, man, let me tell you, I love.
It's not punishing though. Yeah, my son did too. My son craved. He's like, it's the best game I played. I liked it more than Elden Ring. I'm like, that's what he told me. I'm like, oh wow,
it's very good.
Yeah.
That was my. I actually think I finished Lies of P on New Year's Eve. That was my New Year's Eve game because I played it through my like Christmas break that I have with the week between Christmas and New Year's, where nobody's doing anything. Corporate America doesn't exist. What are you talking about? That week is a void. Correct. We play games during that week.
That week is for Pitbull.
Yeah, even whatever, floats your boat. But yeah, I mean, like Lies of P was, I love that kind of thing, and that's a Game Pass go along the same way. But man, if you are not into the punishing stuff, and you don't like just getting frustrated at your lack of ability, speaking for myself, those games are not going to be a good time.
Yes, really cool game.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, and it was funny, Sam. You said. If you like parry as much as I do, I'm like, I'm just going to call you Platypus because you love to parry. Deep cut. Good. My son loved Phineas and Ferb. Next game I played, and I would say I dabbled into it more than really played much of it, was Kunitsu-Gami Path of the Goddess. This is also on Game Pass. It's by Capcom. This is the game when I first saw it, I'm like, oh my goodness, they're bringing back Onimusha. No, they aren't. They are bringing a very unique game that I think a lot of people will love it. it's just not for me. And that is a tower defense action game where you are essentially trying to reclaim the world from demons. And it's very beautiful. The character designs are amazing. And essentially, as you go through the level, you've got a goddess who essentially is trying to reclaim the world. And she's moving very slowly. Well, you have to get in front of her and essentially create outposts and get warriors to join you. Basically, you're reclaiming them from the environment, cleansing the world, reclaiming them. And you get these warriors, and you have to then position them in places before the portal opens up that releases the demons that are going to kill your goddess. So I like the idea of it because the combat's not bad, but it's not very deep. So you're not doing a lot, but more or less you're trying to manage your warriors, where they're at, repositioning them when there are more demons coming through, when to engage, when to hang back and protect your goddess. And the aesthetic is really great. The frustrating part is your goddess is moving like she's through molasses. So it's like this, like, oh, I see what we're doing here. You have to survive for 3 minutes and get your goddess to survive because she's just moving slowly. It's like, oh my goodness, this is driving me nuts. I'm going to survive. My guys are going to die. And so it's really about being tactical in regards to where you put them, how you manage things, and then battle the demons. But it's like 80% tactical and 20% action. So I would have liked more of the action and less of the tactical. But and so that for me, it's a cool idea. It's just it's beautiful. It's just not for me. But I wanted to try to see if like maybe this will be the game. It wasn't, but I think a lot of people are going to really like it, and it's going to be like a hidden treasure. It really is. I think it's a cool idea. I just wanted a Onimusha remake or remaster.
So is it kind of is it like a tower defense kind of situation? Is that
it
kind of
is?
the vibe?
It is cool. In regards to where you place your heroes, and then you can then level them up to like in tower defense. Oh, it's archers. Oh, it's cannons. Oh, it's depending on it's like that. Oh, it's a standard dude. Or oh, you've got archers now. Or you've got heavies that have like armor and can destroy people. Or maybe, and I didn't get far enough. Maybe you could build a tower and have arrows coming down or different type of armory or like cannons. But I think that's where it's going to go, where you level things up enough and you can get enough people and develop it and then create more warriors or do something like that. But it's really cool. But it's very much like main path and set in like a level, like an RTS or a tower defense.
You kind of sold me on it, honestly, because one of my favorite games of all time that is kind of a deeper cut is Pixel Junk Monsters Deluxe. I love the Pixel Junk Monsters on the PSP. And that's like, I'm not a tower defense guy, but like the way you're describing it kind of reminds me of that kind of gameplay style. And I don't even know how many hours of that game back in the day. So I'm definitely one to check that one out.
Yeah, it's got a lot of personality.
Very cool.
Okay, sounds interesting. Not for me, but sounds interesting.
No, that's the thing. It's like I remember seeing this, like that looks really cool, and it's definitely a different take, which I'm glad Capcom's trying. Capcom's doing a lot of different things. Exoprimal, they're not just sitting on their laurels and waiting for the 18th version of this next franchise. So I appreciate that. Lastly, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. This is a remaster. This is not a remake for sure. This is the 3DS game, Circle of the Moon or Dark Moon. I think if you look behind me, you'll see what it's called. But yeah, I despise the 3DS. I just don't like handheld gaming, especially like the 3DS where it's like, oh, we can't give you that extra thumbstick. So we're going to give you like one and then you have to use something else. It's kind of like they're just... Every iteration of the Nintendo handheld was like, oh, we'll give you an extra thing. We'll eventually give you that. And then remember, like, was it the one 3DS with like the racer nub that eventually was given?
The 3DS nipple on the side. Yeah.
It's like that's like
back then we only had one thumb, so we didn't need the other one.
That's true. That's true. Who needs that?
Grew a second thumb, so we needed two thumbs. That's how it happened.
That's what you tell your kids. Back in the day, we didn't have two, thumbsticks, analog sticks. We didn't have that. We had to do it the old way, where the Dreamcast you had to use directional buttons. It's just hard being us guys. But yeah, so I think I really got into this game. I loved Luigi's Mansion 3. Loved it to pieces. It's great. once again, Nintendo's doing what they shouldn't do, which is release this game closer to spooky time, but I'll forgive them. It's not like the last one where Luigi's Mansion 3, they dropped it on Halloween. Like, we're giving you one day, kids, to enjoy Halloween, and here's the game. Don't trick or treat. Play this game instead. So this time, they're giving us in July. It's fun. It's a quality remaster in the fact that it's quality of life. I would say controls pretty well. It was funny because we had Kevin on last week, Sam, and he was giving some feedback. He thought it didn't control well, but I'm like, it controls better than the 3DS. So maybe my perspective is a little bit tilted. But in this case, I think it looks pretty good, but it is a little bit more stage based rather than you're just in a big hotel and it feels like more like a Metroidvania. You need this to get there. But I'm enjoying it. The only thing I do not like about a lot of Nintendo games is they use the gibberish talk. Like they don't want to give people, especially humans, where Luigi does say some words, but they don't want to give anybody like the ability to talk. Like the professor, he talks in this weird like gibberish form, and I'm like, but he's talking a lot. Shouldn't we just give him a voice versus doing like the Banjo-Kazooie and the weird talk? So I get it when it's like non-humans, but when it's humans and they're just doing that, I'm like, Nintendo, can't we have a weird and goofy professor? Don't make him make these weird noises. It just turns me off. So that's my only negative. So I'm enjoying it. I also have GameFly, gentlemen. So GameFly makes my choices a lot easier. That's why I have GameFly. I can play a lot of new games for free, essentially, with my $20 across all the platforms, like PlayStation games. Like I have NCAA or college football 25 from GameFly. Didn't have to spend $70 on it. So it still exists in this country. I love it. There's a hack where you can do gift cards through GameFly where it's a lot cheaper. So for $20 a month, I can get 2 games at a time. You can lock them, and it's great to just try out new games.
That's awesome. Yeah,
that's cool.
That's my slick deals. So
there
you go.
Sponsored by GameFly.
That's right. I want a GameFly sponsorship. So put that on the world. I always post out there, hey, thanks GameFly for helping me out. So I'm your real life testimonial from GameFly. They even ship movies still. Nobody's doing movies anymore, but GameFly will still ship you HD movies, 4K movies. It's great.
I mean, to be fair, like I'm looking at their tiers. They've got a budget tier for $7 a month for the first 3 months, and then it's $10.95 a month. So like, I mean, it's still cheaper than Game Pass, but you get one rental at a time, unlimited game and movie rentals. That's solid.
Yeah. It's well worth it. The $2 plan with gift certificates, I think it's $100 for 6 months is what I have. So you can get gift certificates. You can send them to yourself. It's great. And their used sales are the best because you can keep games and buy them, and they'll send you the disc or the box and all the stuff. Or they have used game sales all the time, and they're really good condition. So pro tip, check out GameFly. Yeah. So that's what I've been gaming. So I think though GameFly is not sponsoring us, but until then, please listen to this ad and support our podcast. Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, Go to Zencastr.com/pricing and use my code SFU1. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show. We're now in the bonus round. This is where we talk about a topic and really get into it and get everyone's perspective on something about the world of games. Sometimes it's a news story, but this week it's about remasters. We're getting a lot of remasters in the world today. And some people like remasters, some people like remakes. We talked a little bit about that in the buy rent return, but now we're going to talk about what do you prefer? So we've got our panel here to talk about remakes versus remasters. What do you prefer? Once we've settled that, then we'll talk about remasters we want. So, Delvin, what do you prefer? Remasters or remakes?
I actually enjoy both. But let me add this caveat because I think remasters are great for game preservation. Like we were talking about earlier, so many games just you can't play them anymore. So if you just want, and I noticed they've been doing this a lot with like certain games we wouldn't even ask for. They just like bring them back. They quote unquote remaster them and just bring them modern consoles like the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure game. Or now you can go buy them the Garbage Pail Kids games and things.
Limited Run, right? Are they? Is that the one that did that?
Yeah, Limited Run doing it. You can like buy one PlayStation and stuff like that. I like that they're doing that for like game preservation's sake, and these are games that were just lost in time that nobody probably even knew existed that you can go play in its original format. But for games that are more established, like of course the Dead Spaces and things like that, a little bit more modern, I like the remix. I like the retelling of a story, bringing you into the world and giving you the ideal of what they originally envisioned for the game, as opposed to what they envisioned because of the restraints of the console. They can only do so much with. So, like I kind of dig both, and I think the world is big enough for both of them to exist and be successful as long as they're doing it in a good way. I think one of the best I guess it's a remakes I saw that I enjoyed was DuckTales.
Yeah.
When they remade that, I thought that was really well done. It looks like the cartoon show now, and I thought it was really cool. And it's just like, this is a game I love. This is the same game, but they just made it look a lot nicer.
Well, not only that, they added voices. So their NES game didn't have voices, so they brought in the voice cast, and that was amazing.
I loved it. Super great way to kind of bring something back that you loved back in the day and just make it modern for everybody.
Hey, Sam, remasters versus remakes.
For me, this is like a super tough thing because on one hand, I know we've talked about like Dead Space and we've talked about Resident Evil 2. I'm even big. I know it wasn't as popular, but Resident Evil 3 remake, 4 remake. They do so much well with modernizing that original experience and bringing stuff forward. But like I mentioned earlier, like I'm super into, probably like you both are, into gaming history and like those nostalgia pieces and kind of like the retro stuff. And so Night Dive is a studio that like I adore the work they do, because stuff like the Star Wars Dark Forces remaster, I'm looking at it right now on Steam, where it stays true to what the original game was, but 4K 120, you've got like the same look but modernized with a way that it looks like it could have come out today, with a honor and respect to the original way that it was meant to be presented. But on top of that, you've got stuff like their System Shock remake that is truly a remake of what System Shock would look like today. So they kind of blended. But in terms of like who's crushing it, they do it really, really well. And then I wanted to pull one off the shelf that I always call out, the Atari 50.
Oh yeah,
collection is super cool, because this is like a museum in a game. It's like, for anybody that hasn't played and is listening, this is from Digital Eclipse, and I know that they've got 50 game. I think it's celebrating 50 years. I'm not sure how many more than 100 playable games on the back of the box. They've got DLC coming out that adds even more, but it not only brings these games forward, you get new versions of the games, and you go through like this historical little, I want to call it like a museum experience of like how these things came to be. It's almost like a documentary. And so I think this kind of thing, and also going back to the NES World Championships, like these capture those moments of gaming history. Like this is a retelling of like how we got to where we are today. And I think that looking back, especially Atari is a company that's like near and dear to my heart, to see how they kind of like helped shape where we are today by playing through it yourself and seeing their path through the years, I think is super cool. So I love that type of remaster in particular.
Yeah, there's a I'm just to look if I own it because I think I bought it or I wanted to buy it, which is like the Karateka.
Oh yeah, Karateka, yeah.
Yeah, which
That's
is
cool.
essentially it's essentially giving the history of that game, but also presenting it as a game too. So it's like a living documentary of like the actual thing. You can play it and getting people up to speed on it. And so I own the Atari 50. I really need to play it. I asked for it and I've
So
got it
good.
on PlayStation. I need to play it, and I'm so excited that they're bringing out more content for it. And you said it's DLC, so I know they're launching like a complete edition, but I'm glad there's DLC that you can own it if you don't have that edition. To me it's really about if the only way we're going to get that game back is a remaster, I'm all for it. I prefer remakes because I always feel like, wow, they took like the premise of it and they turn it on its head. Like you can still play the original game, but here's a different version of it. Like I never played Resident Evil 2 on PlayStation 1. I loved the first one on PlayStation 1. I just never played it. So, and I always thought, well, how am I going to play Resident Evil 2? Do I really want to play it how it was originally done? Or do I want the new version that is taking a different approach, keeping the spirit, but also adding in like modern gameplay, modern conveniences, taking away a lot of those the clunkiness of a lot of the games from a certain era. And I love that. And when they can do it correctly, it's amazing. But sometimes a remaster is all we need. Because I think our brain in some ways says, oh, it was on the 360. It probably looks fantastic. And it doesn't always. It looks a little clunky. Maybe there's some things like, why did this happen? Like the Mass Effect Legendary Edition is amazing. Didn't really do much. It basically brought up to modern standards, I would say, in a great new engine, really wonderful, great. But it wasn't like those games weren't available on old systems. So I do like a game like a Lollipop Chainsaw, which is a deep cut. James Gunn wrote that game, and it was directed by, I can't remember the guy it was directed by, but that's getting a remaster because it's a game that you cannot get on modern consoles, even though it's on 360 and PS3. So the fact that that game is coming back in a remastered form, cool. I like that. So I'm a little bit of both, but I like a game like Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. They did the littlest as possible for a game that's already been on two systems. Like this is I think it's second system, but they charging $60 for it, and all they did was upres it. They didn't add more content. It's not like it was 3D Mario World on Switch, where that game was basically updated, looked beautiful, came from the Wii U, but they also gave you Bowser's Fury. So it was like,
Right. Yeah.
not only are we giving you a remaster, we're giving you a full new like content, which is amazing. So like I said, sometimes you get just enough, sometimes you get more than enough. So I like that. But yeah, when I hear about remakes, when what's possible and what they can do with it, I'm a little bit of both. But I like both depending on if we aren't going to game a game at all, give me a remaster. But if we have a game and you want to do something special with it, a remake is pretty special. So that leads us into remasters we want. So if a game, the only way we're going to get it is a remaster, what game would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I have to think about that one for a minute. I'm digging deep.
Remaster? Huh.
Remaster. Only remaster. You can't get a remake. There's not enough budget. There's enough to basically bring it back from the dead and playable.
I've got it. This is my answer, and this is top of mind, and I think about this game more than I really deserve to. I want to see either an original MotorStorm or a MotorStorm Pacific Rift remaster on the PlayStation side of things, because Evolution killed it with those games, like especially Pacific Rift. I have a definitive memory going back to the original. It was right when the PlayStation 3 launched, because that was a launch title. I had a PlayStation 2, and you were in that like, all right, how do I get this? I have no money. This was pre me like getting a fund or a allowance. And so I was at a small shop called Play and Trade. I don't know how big they are, but they had a couple of areas around, or a couple of locations around Charlotte. And I was at a kiosk, killing the neck muscle, looking up, playing MotorStorm. And it was like, this is next generation gaming. Like, I'm knocking people off of a bike. I'm like, giant monster truck launching off of a cliff. It looked so good. And I want to go back and be able to have that same experience with that kind of like Unreal Engine 5 crispness of modern day gaming, of like, man, that's a giant monster truck launching off a cliff and landing on a motorcycle, dude. Yes. Like, any day of the week, please. I want that.
Wow. It's amazing that PlayStation decided not to bring MotorStorm forward, but they made Drive Club, and that crashed and burned. And wow, that was a big mistake. I think MotorStorm would have been a good addition, because kind of like Forza and Forza Horizon. I think PlayStation needs a more of an arcadey version.
Agree.
Okay, Delvin, what you got?
There's several ones I can think of, but I'll pick something different from the ones I said earlier. I'll pick the Infamous collection.
Ooh,
why aren't these on modern consoles?
Trapped.
Yeah, it makes no sense how popular those games are, just not to remaster them and just say, here you go. Like, we got a remaster of The Last of Us 1 and 2. and we really didn't need those. And they look great and they play great, but we really didn't need them. We could play The Last of Us, the original version, really easy. But we kind of need a remaster of the Infamous series. I don't understand why they've been so hesitant to do it. Like, at least do one. Like, to see how it does. Like,
money on the table.
It makes no sense that we haven't gotten those.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think about that one too a lot with Infamous, and like, we have ray tracing now. Do you guys know how good Infamous would look like with ray tracing?
That lightning.
Or Infamous 2, when it's set in Louisiana, where you've got all the puddles and stuff that are like scattered around. Oh my gosh, that would look fantastic. The red and the blue, and like the what do you call it? The like reputation system they've got in there that changes the color of your stuff. Oh yes, I would love that. That's a great call.
Even if you were just to do like a remaster of Infamous Second Son. How now?
Yeah, I would love that. A trilogy would be like pinnacle, to have 1, 2, and Second Son all bundled together. I think that would be great. I think it's just like a PlayStation identity crisis right now, because they're trying to figure out who they are. And it's like, and I just speak for myself, but you guys might feel the same, like, bring back some Infamous, some Killzone, like, bring these classics back. SOCOM, what's going on with SOCOM? Why don't we have
Resistance?
Resistance is another great one. Yeah, I mean, that's another great call. Like, the PlayStation that I knew and that I grew up on is no longer, and they're trying to get away from it. And I'm like, please bring it back. I don't own a PlayStation 5. You do a Resistance remake and an Infamous remake, and take my money. Like, literally open my wallet.
Yeah. Wow. Those are the things that got people in the door.
And there's a lot of PS3 opportunities that are just being ignored. There's no backwards compatibility at this point. It's all streaming, and the streaming is hit or miss in a lot of ways. So it's a big challenge. Yeah, and Delvin, I was thinking that one DLC that came out for Infamous 2, I loved, with the vampires.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, blood.
Yeah, that was so good. It was like my favorite DLC. I love it. So good. Well, we can do a Rod and Robin if anybody has anything that popped in their head. But for me, it's the franchise that Nintendo doesn't want to admit that they own, which is Eternal Darkness on the GameCube, in an era where survival horror and these type of games are so beloved. It's a game where Nintendo just doesn't want to do anything with, admit it or exist. I wish they would just give it away, but I would love a remaster, update the textures, update some of the clunkiness probably that exists, but it was acclaimed back in the day. And I know the creator of it, Dennis Dyack from Crystal Dynamics, is kind of a goofball who made 2 Human on Xbox 360, if you remember that franchise. Also was one of the guys behind Legacy of Kain, too. Cool series, but yeah, I mean, like, one game, Eternal Darkness, it's just languishing, and it's stuck on the GameCube. And even if you want to play it, I mean, to find a copy on the GameCube, it's probably like $200, which is just a crime at that point.
Yeah, that is super pricey. I mean, considering we just got the release of or the announcement of a new Famicom Detective Club game, I feel like anything is possible at this point. Yes. And if it was going to happen at any point in Nintendo's last 10 years, it's now.
Exactly. It's like the Switch is the time where you could sell any game. I mean, when all these Mario Party games sell like 11 million copies, I mean, it's criminal that they don't go deeper and really satisfy all their fans. But
Yeah.
Anything else comes
I feel
to
like
mind?
the other call out would be the Resistance one, like you mentioned. I feel like Resistance is just such a slept on. Like, I know Insomniac's doing Spider-Man now, but like, yo, what's Blue Boy got cooking? Because we haven't heard from them in a hot minute. So if you want to crank out some remasters, give them some like Resistance, some Killzone, those classic PlayStation 3 games. I would love to see more of that. Also, like Space Marine, Warhammer 40K Space Marine. What's up with the? I know I got a remaster on like PC, but we never really got like a. Yeah, I got a. I mean, I say remaster. It was like 10 years ago already.
I was gonna say, was that on Xbox One, the first one? Yeah,
it was like an anniversary edition,
okay,
but it never came to console, to my knowledge. So I would love that.
Because I remember playing Space Marine on something, and I really dug the game quite a bit. It might have been early at PS4, Xbox One.
Yeah, I mean, Space Marine came out on 360 and PlayStation 3.
Oh, was it that old?
Yeah.
God, I feel old. It feels like yesterday, as they say. When you get old, everything was 5 years ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, like Space Marine, I remember playing it whenever I first built my first PC, and I'm like, that was like 3 years ago. Nope, I built that in my senior year of high school, and I'm now a full-grown adult with like, 2 more PCs ahead of that now. So, but yeah, that's a phenomenal game, and with 2 coming out, please, like, make the story complete. Let people go back and play that.
Yeah. Anything else, Devin?
For the remasters, no, but I have some for the remakes.
Okay. Oh, we're doing remakes too?
Oh, I have some remakes then, yeah.
Okay, I'll do. This is the bonus round, the bonus round. I will give my last remaster though. That is Kid Icarus Rising on the 3DS. Horrible control scheme on the 3DS. Talk about only one thumb. That, and then you had to use a tray for it, and then you had to use the stylus. Horrible. Great game, but I couldn't play it because it was held back by its controls, and that system was just not made for like 3D first-person games. It just wasn't. So that's the game I want to come back, because Kid Icarus is just a franchise that I feel like it's been abandoned by Nintendo, and it's got a lot of heart, and it's in a lot of their games with Smash Brothers and things like that. It's in the NES competition, Sam. You'll play some Kid Icarus levels, and you'll probably be swearing at the game because those were painful. But yeah, we got to have that. So with that, we're gonna make Delvin happy with what remakes we want really quickly, just to satisfy Delvin.
I have 2.
Okay.
One, Fear Effect.
Oh yeah,
that is a game that is perfect to remake. The original version of it for PS1, very colorful, very unique kind of game. When you play as this character, who's kind of like the triad character, like that. It looked beautiful, controlled terribly. But if you were to make this game today, with the story and everything that it has today, and the whole idea of your fear is like a control, whether
your heartbeat, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The more danger you get in, it controls your heartbeat, and that's what kills you. I think that could be really cool.
It had lesbians in it too, Delvin. Don't downplay that.
Yes, very much so. The 2 main characters were 2 lesbians, which was very interesting for that time, the PS1 era of video games.
And a not so beloved sequel, unfortunately. Yeah.
Very not good.
Yeah, I love that game on the PlayStation 1. It looks so cool. I love I'm getting more nostalgic about the PS1 like look of games. I don't know why. Like they have that one it's a Resident Evil style influenced game. I can't remember the name of it. It's Crow Country, I think is what it's called. There was a demo of it on Steam. Look it up. It's definitely RE inspired like PS1 game, but with a little, almost looks like a Square Enix game in a lot of ways, but it's kind of a cool aesthetic. So check that one out. Very cool, man. So what else? What other deep cuts you got?
The other one, they should have done this a long time ago. Parasite Eve.
Oh, good. Oh, I love that.
Why haven't we got a remake of Parasite Eve? It's the perfect game to remake. It was popular when it came out. It has a very great story. Very memorable character.
Yes.
Gameplay was on point. You can remake that game right now and people would really dig it.
Yeah.
Square Enix,
especially feels kind of a Persona type of game in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Very much so. Parasite Eve is fantastic.
Yeah.
My only
Yeah, that
memory
was
of
my era.
Parasite Eve is the third birthday on PSP. I remember that being the biggest deal whenever that
Oh,
dropped.
really?
Yeah, because that was back whenever I was like, that was still G4 era for me, where I
Okay.
was watching X-Play and stuff, and I remember
Yeah.
them talking about Parasite Eve, and I was like, well, what even is this? And then I saw it at Target, and now like a copy's like $300 or some wild.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And the thing about it, the third birthday is not like the original games at
No.
all, but it's really fun. It's a really fun PSP
I've never played
game.
it. I saw videos. I'm like,
It's more of an action adventure
okay.
shooter,
Interesting.
Yeah.
whereas the other one's a turn-based strategy game. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, with some live action too, because you're like in that like dome, and then you move around and you turn base. You do your attack. It was very cool.
So
Very
good.
cool. Okay, Sam, you got any remakes you want?
The only one that I'll call out is Singularity on the Xbox 360, which
Ooh.
was like
Oh.
a time-based
Yeah,
first-person
Raven, I
shooter.
think made that. That was the last
Yeah.
game Raven made. Yeah.
Yeah. So Raven had worked on that one, and I think that seeing that that was one of the reasons that I bought an Xbox 360 last year, is to go back and play some of these that aren't backwards compatible, and either add that to backwards compatibility or remake it, because I feel like in the same way that Infamous would look great with like modern tech, having that time mechanic for like modern aging of people that you're fighting off against, having that lighting, I think that would do a huge justice for that game. And it's just a shame that it's stuck on older hardware when so many people could be enjoying it. It could be a really big deal.
So Raven's owned by Activision. Was that published by Activision?
Singularity publisher.
I think it was.
Because if it is, that seems like an easy pull, and I bet there's people on Raven that would be happy to get that game over on Game Pass.
Yeah, I mean, I
it's
think
on
it was
Steam.
just, it's published by Activision, yeah.
So that's an easy pull. It seems like that's what I'm hoping for. If Activision won't just be a Call of Duty studio, it will be like, hey, we're going to bring back some of our old IP, play around with it. I hope.
I would love that. That'd be great.
Yeah. Just like the old, was it the old Wolfenstein game that Raven made? It was pretty awesome. Before the Machine Games made it.
It was like 2009, I think, was the Wolfenstein game.
It was great.
Yeah,
it was great.
solid.
Loved it. So for me, two quick picks. Onimusha. It is one of my favorite franchises, but abandoned. They made that horrible, like, pseudo kind of remaster, which was just a quick try to cash in. Horrible. They need to remake Onimusha. I feel like Capcom has so many cool franchises they could bring back, and I think this one would do really well, especially in a Ghost of Tsushima type of era where you could play around with more of the supernatural. I think it'd be amazing. And it's just kind of left behind. I don't know what the last one was, but I think it was all in the PS2 era. And then this is kind of a weird one. I don't know if it'll happen ever, but there were certain games that I loved on the original Xbox. One was Advent Rising. Okay. Advent Rising was made by Sharon Entertainment, who made Shadow Complex. And the owner of that studio, then Donald Mustard, went on to run Fortnite. It's such a cool concept. The story is by Orson Scott Card, who has a lot of problems he's homophobic and he's a bad dude, but the story was really good. It was like this really unique storyline about a guy who gets aliens abilities, and it was all set up. There was actually a contest for, like, if you beat the game at a certain time or the first one, you get $1 million. And it was cool, and the game kind of built up, and then it ends on a cliffhanger, and then it ends. So I'm like, but it was so cool, and it was an Xbox exclusive. So I really want that one to come back. And then if I never get a Buffy the Vampire Slayer game, I just want the original Xbox Buffy the Vampire Slayer games to be remade or remastered. So I had a bonus cut, because that's why I bought the original Xbox, was because of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer game by the Collective. So fun fact.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was great.
Maybe someday.
That's why maybe someday. Yeah. When Joss Whedon is not persona non grata, but that's probably not going to happen. Oh, well, that is the bonus round. We are done with the show. But before we say goodbye, I want each of our awesome hosts that filled in for Mark to tell us where they can find us around the internet. And if you want to share your gaming details where people can game with you, please do. So we'll start with you, Sam.
Yeah, I'm JampackSam everywhere on Twitter, Threads, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that stuff. I make shorts throughout the week. I do longer videos on Sundays, and I'm just having a good time with it. We're celebrating games, talking about news. I like keeping things light. So, yeah, I love doing that kind of stuff. So I'd love to see people there. And then if you want to add me on Xbox, JampackSam there too. Discord's JampackSam. I somehow landed that whole thing. So not complaining, but happy to be here. Great chatting with you guys. Had a great time.
Thank you so much. Love to spread the word about all these awesome people that are doing awesome stuff. So thank you, Sam, for joining us. Delvin, buddy, thank you for coming back.
My pleasure, buddy. I guess you can check me out on Twitter at Delvin_Cox. Check out the Delvin Cox Experience anywhere you get podcasts. Check out Play Some Video Games, Nintendo Shack, or any one of the PSVG podcasts anywhere you get podcasts. And check out Justice League Mortal to hear me be the Green Lantern and say the oath and all that stuff. That's cool. Don't look for me on PSN because I'm not going to answer. I don't play multiplayer. I'm not going to be playing games with you. Don't tell me to play Fortnite with you. The answer will be absolutely not.
Aw, Delvin, you won't play Helldivers 2 with me? Aw.
Absolutely not. No.
Oh. Hey, I love a man who's firm his convictions. I appreciate it. Very, very good. Myself, you can follow me at Toxtra on Threads, at Secret Friends Unite on Threads, also on Twitter, but we are at Secret Friends U on Twitter. We have an awesome Discord with awesome people. We have a really cool Patreon if you want to check out some of our cool geek-based content. If you like Star Wars, Star Trek, all things geek and video games, that's where we're living. And yeah, I spent a lot of time in the XCP Discord as well. Awesome people there. I like to be in other groups, checking what they're doing. So definitely, if you have people that you want to check out in the world of games, there's many people out there. Please follow these cool people. And then if you want to game with me, I may not be available, but it's Spartyon98 on Xbox and Switch, Spartyon1998 on PSN. So thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on this wonderful exploration world of video games. We learned about a little bit more about each other. And remember, folks, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.